Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content. We are doing something a little bit different today. Hope you guys are right. It's a final decisions video, but we're doing it as a stream today. Obviously because I'm barely set up. Hair's a mess, but we move. Because it's a Friday deadline, and my final decision videos actually take quite a long time to make, particularly as I have to wait for a lot of injury news and stuff like that. I have to wait for the press conferences to finish, and then I can, finish off the video. And it takes a while to get it out, and we don't have too much time between, the final press conferences and the FPL deadline. So I thought, okay, it'd be quicker if we just do it as a stream. We can answer some things live. We can react to some of the press conferences live as well. And get everything we need to do. But I don't know, I'm cutting corners a little bit here. So it's going to be a bit of not the usual fancy stuff, but what counts is that we have the information, right, guys? So let's get started straight away. And by the way, guys, if you do enjoy, please do drop a like. Please do subscribe if you are new around here. And let's get going. Hopefully this works as a video for anyone who is not watching this live as well. But yeah, I do hope you guys are all good in the chat today. We will do some questions at the end as well, by the way. If you are live in the chat, we'll do some questions. So let's start off with my press conference notes. Here we go. Not quite as fancy as the usual graphics, but it is something, right? It's better than nothing. So let's go. Well, we haven't got actual an actual press conference from Arsenal yet, but so far the information I have is Saka was not spotted in first team training today, and neither were Calafiori or Timber. So this is not positive news so far. The press conference with Arteta is going on right now, so we will have a look at that and see what's happening. Nico in the chat says Arsenal hide their players. They do, but 3 hidden players? I don't know. Someone also asked, OG says, is this a deadline stream or is that later? This is not the deadline stream, no. We will do another stream later. This is just a bonus. Anyway, but we'll come back to Arsenal because we have still got the press conference to come. We've got super chats coming in already. Hello, Big Boss. What activities do you do during the final 2 minutes before starting a stream? I run around, put a football shirt on, put all of my lights on, make sure the chat is working and all the streaming software is working. I do a whole bunch of stuff. By the way, scores were 45 points. Well done, Manny. Sounds good to me. I will save other super chats till the end because I do want to go through a lot of this stuff today. But anyway, for Bournemouth, Scott is expected to be out for months. He's had surgery and Sinistera is out long term. For Brighton, Welbeck is going to have a late assessment. So he is still not quite there, unfortunately. So it's going to be a late one on Welbeck. There's no guarantee that he starts. So possible sell, particularly when you look at, let's just find Welbeck. When you look at Welbeck's fixtures after this, if he misses or has reduced minutes against Wolves, it's then Liverpool, Man City, and then even Bournemouth is not a great fixture. So you do have to wonder, is it worth just getting rid? Because you're probably going to want to sell him next week anyway. If you have a free transfer, I would probably sell Welbeck, to be honest. But if it would be for a hit, I would probably just roll the dice on him and hopefully have some bench cover. Minter is also still carrying a muscle injury, so he is doubtful. And Hertzler, the manager, specifically said that you won't take any unnecessary risks with injured players. So there is some concern that if players are, maybe not in perfect fitness, that maybe they'll just be rested. Callum says, who will play up front for Brighton? Ferguson. Yeah, it could be Ferguson. Rutter is capable of playing as a number 9 as well. More likely he'll play as the behind the strikers, though, to be honest. But there are some options there for Brighton. They do have a pretty deep squad in the attacking areas in particular. Webster, O'Reilly and Milner are still out. And João Pedro apparently could be back as early as game week 11. So if you do still have him, then maybe he's one to think about. One interesting thing, actually, with João Pedro is he's now down at 5.4 million. So if he is back by, game week 13, really nice run of fixtures here for Brighton. If he comes in, back into the team, getting regular minutes in maybe 11 and 12, then could we go for a punt on him? Nice cheap enabler, Gameweek 13, possibly. It could be interesting moving forward. Let's move on to Everton. Branthwaite and Lindstrom are available, so that's a big boost for Everton. If you've got someone like Smith Rowe in your team, I would be now more tempted to actually bench him than I was previously. But we've got Garner, he's going to be assessed. Irabunum, Chamiti and Broja are still out. For Fulham, late call to be made on Vinicius and Cuenca. Castagna and Lukic are still out. Anderson is suspended. And Silva mentioned that he would choose his penalty taker from 3 to 4 players. So he was asked about the Andreas Pereira penalty situation. So there could be a reassignment of penalty duties. And who do we think is going to be? Well, surely Raul Jimenez is the guy. Should we have a quick look at Jimenez's penalty record? It's good. It's very good. So he scored 36, missed 2 in his career, which is really, really impressive. Now you can go back and he missed 1 back in 2015. The last one he missed was back in 2018. So he hasn't missed a penalty in 6 years. You would have to say that he's pretty likely that he's going to be the penalty taker for Fulham going forward. But we are speculating, but it's a good estimation there. For Ipswich, Greaves, Johnson and Luongo and Tuanzebe are all out. So that is a lot of defenders missing for Ipswich. This is good news if you're a Brian Mbeumo owner. And if you're taking a punt on someone like Johan Wissa, that could also be very good as well. But yeah, a lot of defenders missing. Could just be back. Leicester, Daka, Chowdhury, Salazic are still out. And Vestergaard has had a reoccurrence of his ankle injury that he sustained a few weeks ago. For Liverpool, Jota is out for game week 9. Definitely out. If you do have Jota, it is time to sell him. He has got a rib injury. Struggling to find information about how severe the rib injury is. If it's a bruised rib, then it's probably just going to be this week he's out for. But if he's got a cracked rib, broken rib, fractured rib, then we could be talking a little while longer. So, yeah, Jota for me is going to be a sell. Trent is playing through a muscle strain, but he is available. But this is something to note, and that's the reason why Trent has been substituted a little bit earlier in recent game weeks, or 80-minute sub against Chelsea, for example, then in the European and Cup competitions as well. It is because he's playing through an injury, but supposedly he is happy to continue to play on through the injury as he heals. So we might see a slight reduction of his minutes. Something to be aware of. Chiesa and Bradley will have late assessments. Still not really sure what their issues are. And Alisson and Elliott are out long term. For Man City, we've got a few players out here. De Bruyne, Doku, Grealish and Walker are all out. Rodri and Bob are long-term absentees, but Ake did return midweek. Now this is really interesting because it means that Gvardiol is likely to have to provide a lot of the wing play for Man City if he's starting. So, yeah, Gvardiol, I think, is improved by some of these injuries. With Haaland, it's kind of more interesting. I think Haaland works better when there's creative players around him rather than classic wingers around him. Haaland would benefit from De Bruyne and Grealish, but Doku being out maybe improves Haaland a little bit. A few people asking about triple captain. Don't worry, it is on the agenda. What about Foden? Well, no injury news from Foden. The latest comments from Foden is that he's feeling confident, he's feeling good, he's feeling better. Pep did say today in the press conference that Foden kind of, you know, he's pleased that Foden is feeling good. And, you know, he and Guardiola did talk up Foden a little bit about his talent that he has. But he also did say about, you know, taking it slow with Foden, which I'm not really sure why. As far as I know, there's never really been an injury or anything with him, has there? So, yeah, interesting. But yeah, Foden is available. He's fully available, 100% available. But with Pep Guardiola, you never fully know if he's going to start or not. Right, no Manchester United yet, but with Newcastle, Wilson has suffered another setback. Oh, there's one too many Fs in there. That's probably what Wilson's saying. F. I'm injured again. But yeah, so game week 11 is the earliest return date for him. Trippier, Botman and Lascelles are still going to be out, and Burn is available to play despite his ankle issue that he has at the moment. For Forest, Ward-Prowse is available following suspension. Gibbs-White is also back following suspension. He is progressing with his fitness and he could play, but it's no guarantee. Hudson-Odoi has a knock and Danilo and Sangare are long-term absentees. For Southampton, Stevens is back following suspension. Sugawara is a fresh doubt as well. And Stuart Smallbone and Bazunu are all out. Now this is where things get interesting. And if you haven't heard this news yet, prepare to be shocked, but I can see a few of you guys in the chat have already been made aware of this. This broke not so long ago through the Tottenham Hotspur Ange Postecoglou press conference. And the difference between Ange and Arteta is that Arteta is quite deceitful in his press conferences, but Ange Postecoglou has a track record of being very honest. So when Postecoglou says Son is unlikely for the weekend and he's not currently training, I believe him. He's not just saying that to play some mind games. He is telling the truth. Now, unlikely does not mean that he's not going to play, but it's not looking good. If he's not training ahead of this game and, you know, Spurs feel that they can get a result over Crystal Palace without Son, maybe potentially saving Son for the following game week, potentially, or the midweek in the League Cup. City in the League Cup, is it for Spurs? Someone in the chat will know. I think it's City Spurs in the League Cup next week. Someone, if you can confirm that, that would be amazing. But yeah, he's not training. He is a major doubt. This is not a small doubt. This is a major doubt. So the obvious, if you do have Son in your team, then the obvious replacement is Palmer. If you have a free transfer, even for a hit, I would think about bringing in Palmer for Son. If you don't have Son, maybe you have Saka. Well, Son is not a replacement for Saka anymore. You guys confirming in the chat that it is City Spurs next week. Cool. Thank you, guys. So yes, Son is off the card, off the table. He is no longer an FPL option for game week 9, really. He could still be back next week. I don't think from what I can tell and what I've heard, the injury is not serious. This is not a long-term serious injury. But we know he's been carrying an issue. Struggled through last game, apparently, like in terms of his pain. Was in a lot of pain. Hasn't been training this week. Wasn't in the squad in the Europa League. I suppose in the Europa League. Or the conference. Should probably know that, but I don't. Who do they play? All right. I know you guys are probably shouting in the chat. Are they in the Conference League or the Europa? They're in the Europa. All right, fine. You know, when you're an Arsenal fan and your team's in the Champions League, we just can't relate to these other competitions. You know, we're just a Champions League team now, so yeah, we've forgotten about our days not so long ago in the trenches. But anyway, yeah, it's bad. It's bad. If you've bought Son this week and you have another free transfer, I would probably use it to swap to Palmer. If you don't have a free transfer but you can get to Palmer for a -4, I would maybe do it. Or alternatively, if it's going to take multiple hits to get Son out of your team again, then no way. Just try your luck. There is a small chance. And obviously, if you have bench cover as well, then that's fine. Palmer looks like the only realistic replacement for Son, though. But to be fair, I don't think many of you guys went for Son last week. The bigger concern is people who went for Son early this week. And it is rough. That's early transfers for you, though, isn't it? Like, you take a risk. Sometimes it works really well and you can build some team value, but occasionally you will get a little unfortunate in situations like this. if you are making persistent early transfers, then, you know, most of the time you'll be fine. And you'll have a much... I'll tell you what, I've not really made early transfers this season. I don't really do it in general. And my team value is pretty low. So I know you probably feel pretty bad right now going for the early transfer, but maybe there are some positives to be taken there. You're building team value. You know, maybe an opportunity to go for Palmer instead. It is what it is. You got to roll with the punches. That's FPL for you. There's been plenty of punches this year as well. Spence and Odegaard are available, if anyone cares. And I don't have any West Ham or Wolves yet in my notes, but those press conferences went up they started at 1 p.m. So we might be able to get something before the end of the stream. Okay, but we're going to have a look at some other bits and bobs. But before we do... As always, as we do every Final Decisions video, we have to give a shout out to our season-long sponsors and supporters of the channel, and that is Sleeper. And Sleeper, I'm partnered up with them this season to basically give you guys a load of stuff. To give you guys a load of prizes. So, yeah, big prizes every single month for my Predictor League that I'm running with Sleeper. If you want to get involved in this Predictor League, just use the link at the top of the description. It is so easy to do. All you have to do is look at the 10 fixtures for the game week and just click win, lose, or draw on each of them. So easy, so simple, and we are giving away prizes every month. Every single month, we're giving away stuff to you guys. So get involved. It is simple, easy, 100% free. And I think it's a really good opportunity for you guys. And you know, in a way, I'm happy that I'm able to give you this opportunity because it means I can give back to you guys as well. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without the support of Sleeper. So get involved in my Predictor League. Come and compete with me. Even if this is your first time playing, very easy to do. And you don't have to play all season. That's the other great thing. You can pick it up at any game week and start winning prizes immediately. Guys, get involved. Link at the top of the description. I look forward to competing with you guys. What are you waiting for? Let's go on to some of our other topics today. So, I want to have a look at the projected goal and clean sheet stuff. By the way, I know there's more super chats coming in. I'm not going to answer any super chats till the end of the stream. So, I appreciate them, but I'm not answering anything quite yet. But so top projected goals and clean sheet odds. This is from Rob T on Twitter, who is providing some excellent spread market data for us on the projections. And this is for those of you who don't know, this is a very specific way of making predictions, a model that's worked very successfully, particularly in America, where they try and predict results. And it's not binary in the sense of will a player score or not? It's more about how likely is it? What are the projections here? Really, really useful stuff. So, if we're looking for who is got the best chance of FPL points, we can use this stuff really, really nicely. So, Man City against Southampton, 3.35 projected goals in this game. That is enormous. They also have a 50% chance of a clean sheet, but we'll go through that as well. Other teams predicted to score a decent amount of goals this game week are Brighton. So if you have any Brighton players, great. Chelsea, which is great for Cole Palmer. If Chelsea can score 2 goals-ish, around 2 goals in this game against Newcastle, you imagine that Palmer will be involved in at least one of those goals. We're looking at a Palmer return. Is very, very likely here. Brentford with 2 projected goals here as well. And Burmo, eat your heart out, looking good. Spurs, 1.95 projected goals here as well. So if you're Maddison, Kulusevski, Johnson, still looking very good here. Solanke, of course, as well. And you can have a look at some of the other teams. Arsenal are down, Liverpool are down. These are kind of mid-table for projected goals for this game week. And these are teams as well who have more spread goal scorers. So Arsenal, only 1.5 projected goals. Where's it going to come from? Will it be Havertz? Will it be Trossard? Will it be Martinelli? Difficult to say. Liverpool, will it be Salah? Will it be Luis Diaz? Darwin if he plays? Cody Gakpo? Again, difficult to say. Maybe Salah is the standout there for Liverpool. But again, the projected goals are pretty low this week for them. The clean sheets is what I find very interesting. And I use this data all the time to try and figure out which defenders I should play each week, which defenders I should be looking at for the game week. And in game week 9, Man City have a 50% chance of a clean sheet. For Brighton, 33%, as with Brentford. After that, we do see, well, after Man City, there's a big drop-off. There's another drop-off after Brentford. And this week, it does seem difficult to predict the clean sheets. Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Arsenal, Spurs, Leicester, Fulham are all around there. But it's pretty difficult to call. So Man City defenders, great. If you have Brighton and Brentford defenders, great. Outside of that, it's anyone's game. It really is anyone's game. And you pretty much have the same chance with a Arsenal or Liverpool defender as you do with a Crystal Palace or Forest defender. Not really too much in it, in the middle of the park there. Even if you have a Anthony Robinson, maybe, just as good. So you can really go anywhere. Outside, play your Man City, play your Brighton, play your Brentford. Outside of that, as long as you don't have Southampton, Wolves and Newcastle and maybe Ipswich defenders, everyone's about the same. Moving on. This is the player goal projections. And this is going to move on very nicely, actually, to the triple captain chat. Very nicely indeed. So, first of all, Haaland, 1.31 projected goals this game week. That is very high. That is incredibly high. He's got a 74% chance of scoring one or more goal. So only a 26% chance of a blank there. This doesn't even take into consideration assists, actually. So that is something as well. 39% chance of scoring two or more goals. Big. Very, very big indeed. Palmer is in second place. I mean, there's a huge gap here, but Palmer is in second place. Second most likely player to score this game week. 0.65 projected goals with a 48% chance of a goal. And Burmo, 0.61 projected goals, 46% chance of a goal. And a lot of these players have a little bit of a chance of double returns as well. Watkins, this, by the way, this is based on if a player starts. So Watkins is on here as well. If Watkins starts, 0.58, so pretty good for him. But he's probably not going to start. So, well, he might. But there's a chance he doesn't. And then we've got likes of Watkins, Jackson, Wood, and Foden, interestingly, here as well. Son is on here. But again, this is based on the player starting. So actually, in real terms, not so sure. But really, this is good stuff for our Saka, Son replacements. Because we do have the likes of Palmer and Foden pretty high on the projections here. Pretty high. Like Foden, you know, a goal from a midfielder is really, really useful. And we're saying he's got a 40% chance of a goal. And he's a creative player who could get assists as well. You know, he's a corner kick taker, for example. So that could be useful. Then, what other interesting players are on here? Wissa, 0.43 projected goals. Raul Jimenez, 0.41. Calvert-Lewin, 0.41. Vardy, 0.41. Havertz, 0.40. Salah is very low at 0.34. But remember, he is very good for assists as well. And this is just goal projections. If he's still got Delap, he's 0.31. Saka, even if he does start, is 0.3. Even more reason to sell. And outside of that, you guys can have a look at some of these other players. But this is where things get very, very interesting indeed. Very interesting. So, looking through the season so far, who have had the highest projection? What players in which fixtures have had the highest goal projections so far this season? Well, before Game Week 9, in Game Week 2, Haaland was projected 1.34. In Game Week 4, he was projected 1.12. In Game Week 8, he was projected 1. Etc, etc. This week, Haaland is projected the most of any... Well, this is the highest projected goals we have seen from any player in any fixture in the Premier League all season. Which suggests this is the best single game week for an individual player so far this season. So if you are looking at triple captaining, could this be the one? Now, of course, there's many other game weeks left this season, and we could see a game week in which Haaland has an even higher projection. But if you're using the logic of, like, you know, if you kind of use the logic of, you know, high amount of projected goals is a good opportunity for a single game week triple captain. A lot of people said that in game week 2 when Haaland played against Ipswich. It's the same situation, maybe even a slightly better. Now, the other thing is we'll look at the hub projected points as well, which is kind of based on, this is more data based rather than markets based. So yeah, I do enjoy using multiple different projection and prediction methods to try and as a process, as a statistical analytical process. And Haaland has got a projected points of 8.9 this game week. Again, that is the highest of the season. So I was actually looking at what the highest points were before this game week. Here it is. 8.7. So Haaland was projected 8.7 points against Ipswich in game week 2. And in that game week, at that point, at that moment, that was the highest. And there was a lot of predictions involved at that point because the season had only just started. But that was the highest projected points any player had throughout the whole season. And now we're seeing something that is even better. 8.9 predicted points. That is the highest so far this season. And I think I'm not going to do it now, but I would imagine if we went through the rest of the season, you're not going to see a player. I mean, can we do it? We might be able to just do it, to be fair. Can we just go to like a specific player profile, go Haaland, and see his projected points? 8.9 is what we're looking to beat. Okay, the next opportunity is Wolves. Leicester 9. Okay, so he is projected 9 points in against Leicester. So, yeah, 0.1 of a point difference. That's probably your next big opportunity. Well, next mega opportunity. So, yeah, interesting. High projected points. Record-breaking projected goal projections. It's really high. It's really high. And I think a lot of the arguments we used to say, let's triple captain Haaland in game week 2, you can apply them again now in game week 9. So if you were close, if you were thinking about captaining Haaland in game week 2, then you should be thinking about it again this week. And I certainly am thinking about it. There's a very good chance I do it now. I think it's good. I think it's a good opportunity. 8.7 predicted points against Ipswich it was. Now 8.9 against Southampton. It's good. It's very, very good indeed. Now, one other thing that I should note is whenever we have a triple captain week, and I've been thinking about this over the last couple of days because it always seems to happen. Whenever we have a triple captain week, people say, okay, yeah, it's a triple captain week. People are triple captaining Haaland. Maybe I should triple captain someone else. And I think this is the thing with triple captains. Just because it's a triple captain week for Haaland, it doesn't mean it's a triple captain week for other players. Like I'm seeing people in the chat saying, oh, it's a triple captain Haaland week, is it? Does that mean I should triple captain Mbeumo this week? Does that mean I should triple captain Foden this week? No, not necessarily. No, not. I mean, sure, if you really want to go for it, go for it. But the only arguments I can make for a triple captain is for Haaland. I don't have a good argument to triple captain Foden or Mbeumo. It's a different scenario. They're different players. It's a different scenario. So if you still really want to do it, go for it. But it wouldn't be just because it's a good week to triple captain Haaland. It doesn't mean it's a good week to triple captain other players necessarily. So I just wanted to put that one out there whilst people still talk about triple captain. Another note on the triple captain. I know people do always kind of maybe forget this. We have a limited amount of double game weeks this season. Possibly only 2 double game weeks for the rest of the season. So if that's the case, if you have a bench boost, you have a free hit, you have the mystery chip, and you have the triple captain, So 4 chips, 2 double game weeks. So 1 of your chips, well, 2 of your chips are going to have to be played outside of double game weeks. So if 2 of your chips are going to be played in single game weeks, then surely that means that we want to look for the best single game week. And from what we can see right now, this is a very good chance of being the best single game week for Erling Haaland specifically against Southampton. So I think there's a lot of arguments to say triple captain Haaland. Anyone who's doing it, I would not blame you at all. I don't think it's foolish. I think it's definitely viable. Jonathan says 2 confirmed double game weeks, always more. Yeah, you are right. There's a good chance there are more, but it will be a random postponement. It will be like, I don't know, Southampton versus Wolves has been called off following dangerous conditions for fans around the pitch. So we might get a Southampton Wolves double game week in a random week. That's the only other kind of double game week we're going to get this season, because they scrapped the FA Cup replays. So and that impacts double game weeks a lot this season. But we have spoken about that a lot in the past, to be fair. So there you go. There's the justification. Do what you will with that information, but I think it's viable. I think it's viable for sure. Right, quick wildcard draft. So this team costs 100.8 million. It's a 98% team rating on Fantasy Football Hub. And it has Sells in goal, Aït-Nouri, Gvardiol and Gabriel in defence, Palmer, Foden and Burmo and Rodgers in midfield. And up front, Haaland, Wood and Raul Jimenez. We've got Semenyo and Konate on the bench. Semenyo rotates really nicely with Rodgers, actually. So I've seen, because Semenyo's got some decent fixtures coming up against like Wolves and Ipswich. So he works nicely on the bench for now over the next 2 game weeks. But from game week 11, Rodgers plays against Liverpool. And Semenyo plays against Brentford. So it could be quite a nice rotation there. And also, Konate and Aït-Nouri rotate pretty well as well. So when Konate plays against Arsenal and Villa, we have Aït-Nouri against Brighton and Southampton. So this, just as a rough draft, I quite like it. Foden in midfield, a little bit risky maybe. I would possibly, if you did have a wildcard team, something like this, by game week 12, you can maybe look to do like something like Saka in for Foden and Gvardiol down to, I don't know, let's find a... It's going to depend on your budget. Maybe you can afford like a 4.8, something like that. We can just throw in another defender. Dunk, maybe. Dunk looks pretty good from game week 12 onwards. So maybe you could do a double transfer, something like that, around game week 12 to make sure you have got Saka in and reduce the amount of Man City when their fixtures get a little worse. That's kind of what I'd be looking to do if I was to wildcard in game week 9. Something a little bit like that. Looks pretty good. Right, moving on. What else have I got for you? Oh, okay, right. We're going to have a look at the Arsenal press conference. But first of all, quick shout out to Stick to FPL. If you haven't checked out the latest podcast episode, please do. You can watch it over on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search Stick to FPL. Maybe watch it after you finish with the stream, because we'll be taking a little break before coming back for the deadline stream. You want some more FPL content in your ears whilst you're working, whilst you're at school. I don't know what you guys are up to. Maybe at the gym. Maybe you've got a commute later on. Yeah. Check out the Stick to FPL podcast. Have that on. Why not? Enjoy it. Right. We need to get to this press conference. This is the Arteta press conference, which should be wrapping up now. It might even be over. Yeah, it's over. I think it's over. So let's go through the press conference notes for Arsenal finally. This is old stuff. When the press conference started at 1:30, so it should be from here. All right, Arteta was running slightly late, apparently. Arteta on Timber, Saka and Calafiori. We're going to do our best to somehow have them available. It's very, very uncertain. Okay, thanks, Arteta. That's very useful. It's very useful indeed. All right, Arteta and Calafiori, he needs some more tests. Yesterday he had some. Today he's going to have some more. Last time we thought it was really bad, and then he ended up playing 2 days later. For Saka, he's done a bit of training on the grass. How far we can get him before Sunday is another question. We will see. Classic Pep Guardiola line. Just presenting the information as it comes in. Arteta on Timber. It was the first session that he could have some involvement. He's been out for a while. We thought he'd be further ahead. So that seems actually a little less optimistic. Arteta on Luis Skelly and Nwaneri. Just praising them, I suppose. Not really FPL news. And that is about it, guys. That's about it. Not too much here. Luke says, why does he even bother with press conferences? Honestly, man, I don't know. Any other press conferences you want me to go over now that we haven't covered today? Should we do Man United press conference if we can find it? Man United press conference. I don't really know where to look for the notes, because obviously I can't show the press conference on here. Oh, what's going on here? Sending me a lot of stuff. Episode notes. Yeah, okay. Well, is there any place you guys would recommend going for press conference notes for Manchester United? Go through Southampton press conference. They say we will try. Yeah, actually, that was something I haven't noted when I was speaking about Southampton earlier. Is that, yeah, Southampton apparently are. This is classic Martin. They are apparently Southampton are gonna go in with a game plan to win the game. They are not concerned about keeping goals out. It's exactly what you want to hear as a Haaland owner, isn't it? But my word, ridiculous, isn't it? FPL app for team news? Absolutely not. Absolutely. I would not touch, or would I? Well, unless do you mean the actual notes, or do you mean the actual notes, or do we mean these little icons that they throw on their players that mean absolutely nothing? But yeah, we'll leave that one for now, I think. Right, okay. Well, I've gone through everything I kind of wanted to go through today. So we'll answer the super chats that have come in and then answer any other questions that you guys have. I'll leave my team on the screen for now whilst we answer some of your guys' questions. Of course, I've still got one more transfer to make, but we'll do that later on the deadline stream, I think, at this point. So, going through the super chats, we've got here IHB has been a member for a while. That is it. OP Talent says Son to Palmer for a -4 or roll. Welbeck and Semenyo on the bench. I would Welbeck and Semenyo on the bench. That means you're playing 4 at the back. Perhaps a bit much for me. I would do Son to Palmer for -4. I think I would do it. Particularly if your other transfer can help improve your team as well by taking that -4. Manny says, Dan, quick question: how many points does a person need to have to be in the top 1 million? Also appreciate what you do. Thank you very much, Manny. How many points do you need to be in the top 1 million? I think I'm about 15 points off the top 1 million. So what would that be? 491-ish. 490, around 490 points you need to be at to be in the top 1 million. Is anyone in the chat around 990,000th in the world right now? Can you tell us how many points you have in FPL so we can see what you need to be in the top 1 million? Let us know. Omar says, I replace Son with Saka. Is he really not playing? Well, as far as Postecoglou has said, that it's highly unlikely that Son is going to play this week. And I believe him because he always tells the truth. So, yeah, unfortunately, we don't know for sure that Son won't play, but we know it's unlikely that Son will play. So yeah, unfortunately, just bad news there. Someone in the chat did say they're at like 980k. Let me find this. Rich says 486 points and he's 980k. All right, so I'm a little closer than I thought. So you need about 486 points right now to be in the top 1 million. So you might not be too far behind. 487, 486. All right, makes sense. Thank you guys, appreciate you. Ross in the super chat says, "All right, Dan, just joined. Any injury news, mate?" A little bit, a little bit, my friend. Yeah, Ross, I would recommend, if you are still here, I recommend rewatching the stream because we did all the major injury news right at the start of the stream. We covered it there. Oil AU says, "Hey, Daniel do." Oh no, wait, there's meant to be a space there. Hey, Daniel, do you wish the Premier League would introduce mandatory injury reporting like American sports to... hang on, let me try and read this again. Hey, Daniel, do you wish the Premier League would introduce mandatory injury reporting like American sports to stop blokes like Mikel Arteta lying? I mean, I don't think you should... I don't think you should be allowed to lie in press conferences. But it's very difficult to police that. So I'm not sure, really. I don't know. I don't. What are your guys' opinions? Should Premier League managers be obliged to give proper injury updates? Obviously, from an FPL point of view, we would love it. But realistically, is it against the spirit of the sport a little bit? I don't know. Taylor with the super chat here says, with Son out, start Semenyo or Trent and Gabriel. I think I'll just start Semenyo, to be honest. There's absolutely nothing wrong with starting Semenyo this week. I know a lot of people seem to be benching him, but I'd be okay. I'd be okay with playing him. I'd be absolutely fine with that. So, yeah, he's fine. Fine to play. Right, any other questions in the chat before we wrap things up? We'll do 5 minutes of questions and then we will take a little break and then come back later for the proper deadline stream. And by the way, anyone wondering about the bench list will be on the deadline stream later. This is not the deadline stream. We'll do the bench list later. And we'll go live, well, knowing me, probably an hour before deadline. What will that be? 5:30? Oh, we'll go a bit earlier than that. We'll go live at 5 p.m. Yeah, I'll come back at 5 p.m. for the deadline stream. But looking through the chat for some questions. Shibby says Johnson or Kulusevski. I would go for Johnson personally. Will Konsa start? Oh, we didn't have Aston Villa. Aston Villa injury news always comes in so late. Do we have Aston Villa injury news? Konsa is available, isn't he? He was available last week. So I don't know why he wouldn't be. I think he was just coming back from injury last week. So that would suggest that he'll be fine this week. I'm gonna say yes. IHB says Son benched, play Van de Ven or Aït-Nouri. Well, first of all, I would start. If you have Son and you're keeping Son, I would start him. And just try your luck. If he doesn't play, then whoever's on your bench can come on. Play Van de Ven or Aït-Nouri. I would play... The clean sheet projections, I think, favour Spurs by quite some margin. However, Aït-Nouri does have that attacking potential that Van de Ven does not have. So it's a really tough one. Should we cheat and use the projected points to find our answer? Van de Ven's like 4.8 now, right? So let's find these guys. Aït-Nouri is, it looks like Aït-Nouri might be above Van de Ven. Because I can't see Van de Ven anywhere. Yeah, Van de Ven predicted 2.6 points. Aït-Nouri predicted 3.7. I think that answers that one. Play Aït-Nouri over Van de Ven. Sahil says, do you think Carvalho starts for Brentford this week? I have him on my bench, tempted to start him. Yeah, I think there's a very good chance he does start. Actually, a good fixture as well for him. So definitely some potential there. Jake GG says, is a free hit viable if you don't have Haaland? Depends how bad. If you have like triple Arsenal, triple Liverpool, no Man City players, then maybe, I suppose. But I would prefer to save the free hit. Free hit is a really powerful chip. Really powerful. It's not like a triple captain, which is a little bit more of a throwaway chip. But a free hit is used kind of in conjunction with other chips. It's used as part of longer term strategies. And I think we often come to later on in the season and people have used their free hits and they often regret it and think, I really like the look of that long-term strategy that involves the free hit. I wish I had saved it. So I would maybe use a free hit as a last resort, but it wouldn't be the first thing on my mind, to be honest. Warren says Wissa or Raul Jimenez. Raul Jimenez is your safer bet, but Wissa, I think, has some really good potential, but just carries a little bit of risk as he is only just returning from injury. Downgrade Porro or Gabriel for Aït-Nouri? Probably Porro, as I'd want Gabriel long term. Bench Son or -4 to Foden. Again, if you have Son and you're keeping him, start him, play him, try him out. You never know. If you are selling him for Foden for -4, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I think that might be worth doing, even for -4. Manny with another super chat. Manny, you need to save your money, my friend. 4.4 million goalkeeper Lewis Aït-Nouri. What is this? Is this your current Game Week 12 wildcard plan? I see. You wonder what's the team rating? Well, you have to get on Fantasy Football Hub, my friend. The team looks interesting, for sure. So you're just going for all of the premiums and then bare bones outside of that. It's an interesting Game Week 12 wildcard, Manny. Let's see if you go through with it nearer to the time. Dill says, what would you do if Saka already got 3 City assets? I would sell for Palmer. Start Havertz or Wissa? I would start Wissa. We'll do a bench. We'll do a bench list later in the stream later. So we'll maybe leave some of those benching questions now because we will cover it properly later with who you should start and who you should bench, as we do in the deadline stream every week via our epic bench list table, which is really useful, of course. So any non-bench related questions? Just Famous says Saka and Havertz replacements, please. Saka replacement Palmer, Havertz replacement Raul Jimenez. Lovely stuff. Saka to Foden or Salah? If you can afford to do Salah, I would maybe do that. If you can do that for free. Who is likely price changes tonight? I can tell you that. Again, let's use Fantasy Football Hub's price change tool. So Foden, Buonanotte, Digne, Sells, Wood and Mbermo are all due up tonight. And down tonight, Minter, Joelinton, Walker, Sancho, Ahmad, Saliba, Luis Diaz, Trent and Saka. Saka for 9.9 is going to be so nice when we bring him back. Every little helps. Every little helps. Few price rises tomorrow as well. We've got like Kulusevski, Watkins, probably not Son anymore. That will change very quickly. Raul Jimenez and Gvardiol. Interesting stuff. It is the turnaround on Gvardiol has been crazy. Wasn't that long ago everyone was saying, he's terrible, you should sell him. Now he went all the way down to 5.9 million. Now he's going to be up to 6.2 within the space of like 3 weeks. Maybe even less than that. Well, let's see here. He was 5.9. Wow, he was 5.9 in Game Week 7. By tomorrow, after Game Week 8, or after Game Week 9 has started, he could be 6.1. No, 6.2, sorry. Crazy. Crazy. Right, a couple more questions. Triple Captain Haaland, we've covered that at length. Next best captain after Haaland is going to be Mbermo. I mean, we can look through the predicted points for something like that. So if we look through the highest predicted points for this game week, it goes Haaland, Palmer, Foden and Mbermo. But I think Mbermo's being undervalued here because of we need to take into account the injuries to Ipswich defenders right now. So I would actually say Palmer, Foden and Burmo are the three I would be looking at captaining if I didn't have Haaland. But I would probably lean towards Burmo, personally. Saka replacement if I can't afford Palmer. And that would be this guy here, Foden. Or if you don't have Burmo, I would do it him. But Foden would be the other guy. And I think we'll wrap things up there because a lot of people are just asking bench-related questions, and we'll cover that when we do the deadline stream. So, guys, do make sure you have got you are subscribed with notifications on so you know when the deadline stream is live. We'll be going live in about 2.5 hours from now. If you're watching live, if you're not watching live, 5 p.m. UK time. I'll set it up as soon as I go off here, and we'll do bench list. I'll make my final transfer. I will decide whether I'll triple captain as well. Maybe some of you guys will be making that decision as well. But for those of you watching in the live chat right now, a lot of the stuff you're asking I have already covered. So if you joined late in the stream, do feel free to rewatch from the start. We covered a lot of the stuff you're talking about, specifically injury news and triple captain. A lot of that stuff was covered towards the beginning of the stream, and I think it's going to be really useful stuff for you guys to go back and check. So this stream is going to go up as a VOD. Check it out. Check out another video if you'd like to. Check out Stick to FPL. Where are you, Stick to FPL? Search Stick to FPL on any platform if you want to watch podcast episodes. And yeah, I'll see you guys in a couple of hours. Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. And I will see you later, mates. I literally will see you later. I'll literally see you later on today. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.